during the whole of a dull, dark, and soundless day in the autumn of the year,
when the clouds hung oppressively low in the heavens,
Jonathan Barringer had been passing alone through a singularly dreary tract of country.
he at length found himself as the shades of evening drew on, within view of the melancholy House of Usher.
The bleak walls and the vacant eye-like windows, the ghastly white trunks of the decayed trees were enough to pervade onto his spirit an insufferable gloom.
Can this be the place? It's so sad, so depressing.
what is it? What is it that is so unnerving in the contemplation of the House of Usher?
Perhaps a mere different arrangement of the particulars of the scene, of the details of the picture would be sufficient to modify, or perhaps to annihilate its capacity for sorrowful impression.
Jonathan peered into the black and murky lake that lay in unruffled luster and gazed at the inverted image of the mansion reflected on the water.
My somewhat childish experiment only seems to accelerate the foreboding nature of the house.
He pulls a letter from his coat and reads again the cry for help that has brought him here.
Jonathan, it
Pains me to write after so many years. But I have no one else to turn to. I feel as if I am a prisoner in my own home.
A mist rises from the water, and with it, a sour odor of decay.
I have been confined to the house by an unknown illness that leaves me nervous, and, I admit, moody. You are my only friend. Come quickly if you can. I would not ask it of you unless it was urgent.
Roderick,
He folds the letter and puts it in his pocket.
something tells me to
Turn around and leave this place.
But a friend needs my help.
Welcome to the House of Usher. As Jonathan approaches the front door, he sees that the exterior of the mansion is covered in a peculiar growth, a fungus. It hangs in tangled webs from the roof.
Underneath the growth, a crack in the stone zigzags down the wall to the foundation of the house.
Welcome to the House of Usher, sir.
I did not even knock.
No, sir, but I saw you from across the lake.
A gas, sluggish and glowing, rises from the water.
Sealing the House of Usher behind its lead-colored curtain.
Have you come up from Boston, then?
Why, yes, but how did you know? I did not write that I was coming.
Master has been expecting you. Not many people pass this way.
I don't wonder. It's so isolated. Tell me, are these waters healthy?
It is a dying lake, sir. Everything, even water, dies with time.
One night. That's all I need to say. Perhaps tomorrow in the daylight things will seem less.
You're the gentleman from Boston. I am Mrs. Finley, the housekeeper. Follow me. Master Usher is waiting.
But how did he know that I had arrived?
He has his ways.
He stops and glances into a parlor. Heavy tapestries, dusty and faded with age, cover the walls.
Follow me, sir. Master has asked for you every day for the past week.
Is he very ill? His letter said it was urgent that
Oh, I wouldn't know now what he wrote to you, sir.
She leads him up the stairs to the second floor. The flaming candles and sconces on the wall cast a shadow behind him on the steps, as if he were being followed.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I am a friend of the family.
A friend?
You seem surprised.
You're here for just a visit, then? A short visit, I hope?
Who, may I ask, are you?
Lady Madeline's physician, Dr. Cordwell.
I thought that Roderick, not his sister, was ill.
The doctor moves away, his shadow fleeing before him.
Be careful not to make any loud noises. That would only make things worse. You understand?
No, I do not understand. What is going on in this ghastly place?
She moves away without answering, the hem of her skirt audibly dragging along the floor.
Welcome, John.
Roderick?
For a moment he sees nothing but shadows in the dark room.
I knew you would come.
Heavy draperies cover the windows.
Shelves of books line the wall.
The air inside the room smells sour, not unlike the rotting swamp outside.
I cannot tell you how relieved I am that you have come. I heard you approaching. Through the woods.
Across the lake in the woods. But how could you hear anything through these thick stone walls?
If you only knew what I can hear. Oh, the sounds, they torment me. And you look at me with eyes of pity. I have changed. Have I not?
What's happened? Your letter said you were ill with some unknown disease.
Sit down. I will tell you what I can.
Perhaps I will light a lamp first.
No light, please! I cannot.
All right, Roderick. Whatever you say.
I know not what the illness is, only that it has affected my nervous system. The faintest light tortures my eyes. The odors of flowers make my stomach churn. I can wear only soft-textured, loose-fitting clothing, otherwise my skin prickles as if stuck with 1,000 pins. And food? I can swallow only the most tasteless gruels.
Well, surely the doctor must know something.
Doctors know nothing of what ails me! They do not hear what I hear, the slightest movements. The rustle of Mrs. Finley's skirt along the floorboards. The ripple across the pond when the wind blows. The scratching of rats inside these stone walls.
Roderick, how can I help? What can I do?
Do you know what I fear most?
This house.
No, I am its prisoner.
That is nonsense.
I shall perish inside this house as my father and my grandfather before me. Look at me, Jonathan. The noises, the odors, the lights. They have reduced me to this pitiful state.
Come with me to Boston. Surely there will be doctors in the university who could help.
Listen. Do you hear it?
I don't hear anything.
Shh. It is Madeline.
He has heard Roderick speak of his sister.
But he has never seen her before now.
Her black silken hair, dark eyes, and white skin are identical to Roderick's.
I had no idea that you were twins.
Sister.
She walks across the room as if not seeing Jonathan or Roderick.
You must return to your room, sister. Come, I will take you.
Her eyes stare vacantly past Jonathan.
With a shock, he realizes she's asleep.
Mrs. Finley will show you to your room. We will talk again in the morning.
Is there anything I can do?
You have come. For now, that is enough.
Later that evening, Jonathan steps outside the house and breathes deeply the damp night air.
He looks again at the wide crack in the foundation. When he touches the mortar between the stones, it crumbles like salt on his fingers.
If you have any sense, you will leave this place at once.
But I'd only just arrived.
Just the same, you can do nothing here. Leave this evil house while you're still able.
Doctor, I am not frightened of a house. People are evil, not mortar and stone.
And how well do you know the House of Usher?
Well, as I told you earlier, Roderick and I are friends. We met at university 5 years ago.
Yes, but do you know him? Really?
Well, he was quiet. He kept to himself. I am aware that his ancient family line has been noted for a peculiar sensibility of temperament, which often displays itself in famous art. And I also know that after his mother died, he then returned here to care for his sister.
Did you know, too, that Madeline and Roderick are the sole heirs? There are no other surviving Ushers. In fact, the stem of the Usher race, all time honored as it is, has put forth at no period any enduring branch. In other words, the entire family lie in the direct line of descent, and has always so lain.
What are you insinuating?
Merely that this family doesn't like strangers. Perhaps that is their downfall.
What is wrong with Lady Madeline?
She suffers from catalepsy. It is a very rare disease.
I've heard of it. The body becomes completely paralyzed.
Not quite. The body loses its will to move. The trance may last a minute, an hour, a day.
What causes it?
Agitation, nervousness. Some in my profession believe that it is a form of, well, I shall say it plainly, mental illness.
Is there no hope for her?
Her disease is baffling, but it is not fatal.
And Roderick?
Him? He's a hypochondriac whose imagination wraps him in illness.
So, nothing...
Nothing is wrong with him physically, no, but up here, it is a different story. I do not doubt that you meant well by coming here, but you can do no good. Leave in the morning, if you know what is good for you.
The next morning, Jonathan sits to breakfast in the dining room.
Will Roderick be coming down to breakfast this morning?
Oh no, sir. He always dines alone with little he eats.
And Lady Madeline?
She's not well either, poor thing.
How long has she been walking in her sleep?
Since she was a child.
And her catalepsy? Has she suffered from that since childhood?
I dare not speak of it, sir. I cook the day's meals and mind my own business. At night I go home to my cottage in the village.
I did not mean to pry. It is only that I intend to take Roderick and his sister away from this place. In Boston, university doctors will examine them.
Leave here. The lady is dying. She cannot travel.
That is not what her physician says.
It is what Master Usher believes. Mark my words, when she dies, it will surely kill him.
Later that morning, Jonathan persuades Roderick to walk outside.
The sunshine is weak and watery, but Jonathan insists that the fresh air will be beneficial to Roderick.
The friends walk and talk about the family illness.
It runs in my family.
What's that? This melancholy.
Sometimes I fear losing my mind.
They stand on the bridge,
Looking down.
At the rippled reflection of the house on the pond's black face.
You spend too much time in this mansion of gloom. Forgive me, I did not mean to be rude.
No, you are right. In fact, I have a theory about my illness and Madeline's and the illnesses of my ancestors. Of course, the doctors laugh.
Tell me.
It is the house. The fungus that clings to the stones. The mold in the air. It infects us. It is the source of our madness.
You and Madeline must return with me to Boston at once.
if only you could.
If only we could.
Tomorrow. I promise you. We will leave here tomorrow.
The next morning, Jonathan dresses in his traveling clothes, anxious to be gone.
When he opens the door, he finds Roderick trembling on the sofa. His face is white with shock.
What's wrong? What's happened?
She's dead! My sister, she died in her sleep during the night.
But the doctor said that...
The doctor is a fool! He can never understand my sister's illness the way I did.
We should still send word to him. He should examine the body.
What good did he do her in life? None! He will not touch her now! I forbid it!
But perhaps an autopsy will reveal...
No! We will bury her ourselves. In the family crypt. Tonight.
That is your wish, Roderick. It is. There will be no further discussion.
That evening, at the request of Roderick, Jonathan aids him in the arrangements for the entombment.
They carry the wooden coffin down the narrow steps to the vault in the cellar of the mansion.
The vault was small, damp, and entirely without means of admission for light. The dampness from the pond outside had caused mold to grow thickly over the crypt stone shelves.
Raising the coffin lid and taking a final look at the maiden, the striking similarities between brother and sister arrested Jonathan's attention.
The disease which had thus entombed the lady in the maturity of youth had left a mockery of a faint blush upon the bosom and the face, and a suspiciously lingering smile upon the lip that is so terrible in death.
They replaced and screwed down the lid, then closed the heavy door of iron and made their way with toil into the scarcely less gloomy upper portion of the house, Jonathan helping the weakened Roderick along the way.
For several days, Jonathan tries desperately to cheer his friend, but Roderick refuses to even step outside.
The only activity that soothes him is literature. For hours at a time, Jonathan reads aloud from the many books upon the shelves.
At night, alone in his room, Jonathan feels a growing helplessness. He writes,
And now, some days of bitter grief having elapsed, and observable changes come over the features of the mental disorder of my friend. His ordinary manners have vanished, his ordinary occupations have been neglected or forgotten. He roams from chamber to chamber with hurried, unequal, and uneven steps. The pallor of his countenance has assumed, if possible, a more ghastly hue. But the luminousness of his eye is almost completely gone out. A tremulous quaver, as if of extreme terror, habitually characterizes his utterance. I have observed him gazing into vacancy for long hours with profoundest attention, as if hearing some imaginary sound.
It is no wonder that his disease terrifies. That it infects me. I have felt creeping upon me a slow yet certain degree the wild impressions of his fantastic yet impressive superstitions. How well I remember Mrs. Finley's words.
Mark my words, when she dies, it will surely kill him!
If I do not leave soon, I fear that I too will become a prisoner of the House of Usher.
On the 8th day after the burial of Lady Madeline, Jonathan wakes suddenly during the night.
Outside, a storm is approaching. He hears the tortured breath of wind rising across the lake. The tattered draperies rustle uneasily.
Moaning, creaking sounds in the house, filled with alarm.
I must get out of this house. Not tomorrow. Tonight. Now.
At once!
He throws on his clothes.
He wildly packs his belongings.
He starts for the door.
Come in, Roderick. Have you not seen it?
The wild winds and racing clouds give the night a terrible beauty.
A blood-red moon hangs low in the sky, now visible, now blotted by the knotted clouds.
You must see it. Look!
Vapors rising from the dying lake glow with an unnatural light.
Evil spirits enshroud the house. We are their prisoners.
It's only the gases rising from the lake. Come, Roderick, you must be in bed. Grief for your sister has turned your skin to wax. You look near death yourself. You need rest.
Something terrible has happened.
Do you not feel it?
Do you not hear it?
It is a dying lake, sir. Everything, even water, dies with time.
My words, when she dies, it will surely kill him.
Leave this evil house while you're still able.
You are working yourself into a frenzy!
Friends, I'll read to you. Together we'll get through this terrible night. The book's title is Mad Tryst. It's a story of a knight named Ethelred who forces his way into the home of a hermit during, coincidentally, a terrible storm. Feeling the rain upon his shoulders and fearing the rising of the tempest, Ethelred uplifted his battle axe and smashed the wooden planking of the door, and with his gauntleted hand he cracked and ripped away the wood. The splintering and hollow echoed throughout the forest.
Do you not hear it? I've heard
Something.
Oh, pity me, poor miserable wretch that I am.
It is only the wind. The good Ethelred, now entering the home, was amazed to discover a dragon with fiery tongue standing guard before a treasure of gold and silver.
Not hear it? Yes, I hear it and have heard it!
Jonathan too has heard the scream.
It is impossible. The servants have all left for the night. No one is here but you and I, Roderick.
On the wall hung a shield made of brass engraved with this motto: "Who entereth herein, a conqueror hath been. Who slayeth the dragon, the shield he shall win."
Long, 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 many minutes, many hours, many days have I heard it, yet I dare not speak.
And Ethelred struck the head of the dragon, which fell before him, and gave up its pesky breath with a shriek so harsh and horrid and piercing.
Said I not that my senses are acute? I tell you now, I heard her first feeble movements in the hollow coffin. I heard them many days ago. What? I heard them days ago, but I dared not speak. I dared not. And now, Ethelred! The breaking of the hermit's door, the death cry of the dragon, and the clangor of the shield. Say, rather, the rending of her coffin, the grating of the iron hinges of her prison, and her struggles within the coppered archway of the vault.
Roderick, what are you saying?
We have put her living into the tomb!
Lady Madeline?
But I saw her myself! She was dead! Oh, where shall I fly? Will she not be here soon? Is she not hurrying to punish me for my haste? Have I not heard her footstep on the stair? Do I not distinguish that heavy and horrible beating of her heart? Stop this insane talk! Madeline is dead! Madman! Madman! I tell you now, she stands around the door! See? She comes. Madeline? Sister! Forgive me! No! Ah! Roderick!
From that chamber, from that mansion, he fled aghast, down the dark halls and shadowy steps.
Out of the house and into the night.
On the bridge, he stops, panting, and turns for a final look at the house and its shadows behind him.